Not every dream survives, Ethan, but some of us just fight to survive.
He walked into a fancy restaurant, dressed in a tailored suit worth more than most people's monthly salary, the kind of place where silence speaks louder than words, where every chandelier costs more than a house. He didn't need to say a word. The staff already knew his name. One of the youngest millionaires in the city. Success, check power, check respect everywhere he went. But the moment he sat down, everything stopped. Not because of the luxury, not because of the stairs, it was her. Standing right in front of him, tray in hand, was his old school friend. The one who stayed up late talking about dreams bigger than money. The one who believed in fairness, in change, in meaning. The one who said, "I don't want to be rich, I want to make a difference," and now she was serving him water. He looked into her eyes, tired but still kind, and suddenly his entire life felt hollow. All his wealth, his fame, his achievements. None of it answered the one question tearing through his mind. How did she end up here, and worse, what did I sacrifice to end up here? Because in that single moment he wasn't the millionaire, he was just a man, facing the echo of a promise he once made and forgot. So what did he do next? Did he look away? Did he leave a big tip and pretend it didn't shake him? Or did he finally remember who he used to be before we reveal the truth? Hit subscribe and share this video with someone who believes that success isn't just about where you end up, but who you become along the way. Ethan Parker was the kind of man who made headlines wherever he went. By 32, he had built a tech empire from nothing, coding in a tiny apartment, fighting for every investor, every breakthrough. Now, he was one of the youngest millionaires in America, his face on magazine covers, his speeches watched by millions, his name synonymous with success. But behind the fame, behind the luxury, Ethan carried something money couldn't touch. Memories of a simpler life, back in his old neighborhood, where dreams were whispered under streetlights, where friendships weren't built on status, but on loyalty. And one friendship stood out above all, Jasmine Miller. On a cool Friday evening, Ethan stepped away from boardrooms and millionaires. He walked into a high-end restaurant in the heart of the city, tailored suit, quiet confidence, just wanting a moment of peace. The room glowed. Crystal glasses caught the light. Laughter floated through the air. The city's elite dined like kings. Ethan flipped through the menu, half distracted, until something caught his eye. A waitress moved between tables, graceful, focused, professional. Most people wouldn't have looked twice. But Ethan did, because as she turned, just slightly, his breath stopped. It was her, Jasmine, his childhood friend, the girl who stayed up late tutoring him before exams, the one who believed in him when no one else did. The girl who dreamed of becoming a doctor, who said, "I don't want to be rich. I want to save lives." And now she was wearing a server's uniform. Her eyes were tired, her steps quiet. But that warmth, that quiet strength, was still there. Ethan's world tilted. This couldn't be real. Jasmine Miller, the smartest, most driven person he'd ever known, was clearing tables in a five-star restaurant. She noticed him staring. For just a second, her smile wavered. Then it snapped back and polished, professional. She walked to his table. "Good evening, sir. Can I take your order?" "Sir." She never called him that before. Back in school, she called him Parker the Slacker. She laughed when he failed quizzes. She stayed after class to help him pass. She told him, "You're better than you think." Now, he was a millionaire and she was calling him sir. Ethan forced a smile. "Jasmine, it's you, right?" Her eyes widened, just slightly. Then she softened. "Ethan Parker," she said, almost like a whisper. "It's been a long time." He leaned in, voice low. "What are you doing here? You wanted to be a doctor." Her fingers tightened around the notepad. "Life doesn't always go the way we plan," she said, calm, polite, but carrying a weight that no polite voice should have to hide. Before he could say more, another customer called her name. She gave him one last smile, the kind that says, "I'm fine, don't worry," and walked away. Ethan sat back. His chest felt heavy. He couldn't stop seeing her. Jasmine, who once stood at the top of their class, who carried books like they were treasure, who believed in purpose over profit. Now, she was serving people who wouldn't even look her in the eye, and he had everything, yet in that moment, he felt like he had lost something far more valuable. Because success isn't just about rising up, it's about who you remember when you get there. Ethan sat at the table. But his mind was somewhere else entirely. The man who commanded boardrooms, with a single word, who negotiated billion-dollar deals without blinking, now felt completely powerless. Because right in front of him, walking from table to table, head slightly bowed, was Jasmine Miller, his brightest friend, his fiercest believer, and now a waitress with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. He watched as a family snapped their fingers at her, impatient, dismissive. Jasmine apologized for a delay that wasn't even her fault. She lowered her head, took it, smiled through it. Ethan's jaw clenched. This wasn't the Jasmine he remembered. The Jasmine he knew stood tall, argued with teachers for fairness, stayed late in the lab. Dreaming of scrubs and stethoscopes, she didn't apologize for existing. When she returned with a glass of water, Ethan didn't hesitate. "Jasmine," he said, firm, "tell me what happened." She forced a smile. "Nothing happened, Ethan. I work here, it's just a job." But her voice, just for a second, cracked and Ethan caught it. "Don't lie to me," he said quietly. "I remember you better than that." For the first time, her mask slipped. She looked at him, really looked. And in that moment he saw it all, the exhaustion, the pride buried under pressure, the dream that had been worn down, but never fully broken. "Dreams cost money, Ethan," she said. "And not everyone gets the chance you did." The words hit him like a punch to the chest. He wanted to answer, wanted to explain, defend, fix it. But before he could, the manager passed by. Cold eyes, sharp posture. Jasmine instantly straightened, her smile returning. Smaller, careful. "I'll be right back with your order, sir," she said. "Sir" again, and just like that she was gone. Ethan frowned. That wasn't professionalism, that was fear. Minutes later, a customer called her out. "Too slow," he said, loud enough for others to hear. The tray wobbled. Jasmine caught it, barely, and whispered, "Sorry, sir." The man waved her off like she was nothing. Ethan's fists clenched under the table. This wasn't just about a job, this wasn't just about money. Something was breaking her, and he couldn't sit there and watch it happen. So he stood up, left the spotlight, walked straight across the room, toward the only person who ever believed in him before he was someone. "Jasmine," he said, firm, clear. She turned, startled, almost afraid. "Ethan, please, you shouldn't." "I don't care," he cut in. "We need to talk. Now." The room went quiet. Heads turned. Whispers spread. The manager rushed over. Sharp tone, tighter voice. "Sir, if there's a problem with the service—" "There's no problem with the service," Ethan snapped. His eyes never left Jasmine. "The problem is, she doesn't belong here." A murmur rolled through the dining room. Jasmine's hands trembled, her face flushed. "Ethan, please stop, you don't understand." "Then make me understand," he said, voice lower now. "What happened? Why are you here?" She opened her mouth, but no words came. Instead, her eyes glistened, not with tears, not yet, but with something deeper, pain, shame, the weight of a story too heavy to carry alone. She set the plates down, took a breath, composed herself. "Not here," she whispered. "Not in front of them." The manager stepped forward again. "Miss Miller, is this man disturbing you?" The tone was clear. "I say yes and he's gone." Jasmine hesitated. Ethan held his breath. Would she push him away? Would she stay silent to survive another day? Then, slowly, she shook her head. "No," she said. "He's an old friend." The Shishi's manager backed off, and reluctantly, the room returned to hushed chatter. But every glance and every silence felt heavier now. Ethan leaned in. "After your shift," he said, "meet me outside. Don't say no." Jasmine didn't answer right away. Her eyes searched his, like she was trying to decide if he was still the boy who once failed math, or just another man who'd forgotten where he came from. Then, She nodded. Just once. And in that single moment, Ethan knew whatever she was about to tell him wasn't just about lost dreams. It was about a system that breaks the good ones, about loyalty, about privilege, about the cost of silence, and what he was about to hear would change everything. The restaurant lights dimmed, the city hummed. Ethan stood outside, leaning against his sleek black car. For a man who moved markets with a single tweet, time had never felt this heavy. He checked his watch. Once. Twice. Would she come? Then, the glass doors opened. Jasmine stepped out, still in her uniform. Jacket pulled tight around her like she was holding herself together. She looked smaller. Not just tired, worn, like life had taken piece after piece of her, and she kept giving anyway. You, Ethan said, softly, like he was afraid to scare her off. She gave a small shrug. I wasn't sure I should, but you wouldn't stop until I did. He almost smiled. You're right, I wouldn't. Then, voice dropping, because Jasmine, none of this makes sense. You were supposed to be saving lives, not serving. Them dinner, what happened? She didn't answer right away, just stared at the ground, then finally, a breath. After high school, I got into medical school, full scholarship. I thought, finally, my dream was real. She paused, swallowed. But in my second year, my mum got sick. Cancer. Insurance covered almost nothing. I had to drop out to take care of her. I took every job I could find, waitressing, cleaning, overnight shifts, but it wasn't enough. Her voice broke, and just for a second, she wiped a tear, fast, like she was embarrassed to be seen hurting. She passed away, Ethan. And when she did, I had nothing. No degree, no money, just debt. And this job, it was the only place that would hire me. The silence that followed was thick, heavy with grief, with guilt, with everything left unsaid. Ethan's chest tightened. He remembered her mother, warm, kind, always telling them, dream big, but stay kind. And now, Jasmine was carrying. All of this, and I'm alone. You should have called me, he said in a voice rough, raw. One phone call, I would have helped. She shook her head. Firm. That's not who I am, Ethan. I couldn't just show up begging while you became this. I wanted to make it on my own. A bitter laugh. Guess I failed. Ethan stepped closer. No, he said. You didn't fail. You fought, you stayed. You lost everything, and you're still here. That's not failure, that's strength. She looked at him, eyes glistening. Strength doesn't pay the rent. The city buzzed around them. Cars honked, life moved. And then Ethan took a breath and made a decision. Jasmine, his voice was steady now, certain. I can't change the past, but I can change your future. Quit this job. Tomorrow I'll clear your debts, and I'll pay for you to finish medical school, anywhere in the country. You once believed in me when no one else did. When I was failing, you stayed. When I wanted to quit, you pushed me. Now it's my turn. Jasmine froze. Ethan, no. That's too much. I can't accept that. Yes, you can, he said, firm but gentle, because this isn't charity. This is payback. You built me, Jasmine. Every success I've had, you had a hand in it. Let me return the favor. Tears spilled over. She tried to speak, but couldn't. The weight of years of silence, of struggle, of hope deferred. It all came crashing down. Finally, she whispered, Why are you doing this? Ethan smiled, simple, sincere, because friends don't let each other's dreams die. And for the first time in years, Jasmine let herself hope. Slowly, she nodded. Tears turned into a trembling smile. And under the glow of the city lights, the Millionaire and the Waitress stood side by side, not worlds apart, not rich and poor, not success and failure, just two old friends, reunited and ready to rewrite the future. Together. Not every success story is written in straight lines. Some dreams take detours, some lives stumble down roads they never planned to walk, and sometimes even the brightest people disappear into the shadows. But what matters isn't the fall. It's whether someone sees you in that darkness and chooses to help you rise. Jasmine's story isn't just about a girl who lost her way. It's about resilience, about waking up every day when your dream feels like a memory, about serving others with a smile while carrying a heart full of quiet pain. It's about strength, not the loud kind, but the kind that survives in silence. And above all, it's about friendship. A bond that didn't break when life pulled them in opposite directions, that didn't fade with time, with money or with distance. Ethan didn't have to stay. He could have walked away that night. He had everything. Jasmine had nothing, no obligation, no debt, no rule that said he had to care. But true greatness isn't measured in net worth. It's measured in what you do for the people who once believed in you. Ethan didn't see a waitress. He saw the girl who stayed up late tutoring him, the sea. One who said, "You're better than this." He saw Jasmine, brilliant, determined, worthy, and he gave her what she needed most, not just money, not just a chance, but belief. And Jasmine, she reminds us of something we often forget. Life can knock you down, circumstances can steal your path, but they don't erase who you are. One chapter does not define your story. Her courage to keep going, to survive, to endure, to still show up, that's more inspiring than any empire. Now ask yourself, how many Jasmines exist around us? The co-worker who smiles through the shift, but carries a world of stress. The old friend who stopped talking about their dreams. The person serving your coffee, your food, your taxi ride, who once wanted to be a teacher, an artist, a healer. They're everywhere, hiding their pain behind a polite smile, waiting for someone to see them again. Sometimes all it takes is one person, one act of kindness, one voice saying, "I remember who you are." Maybe you are that person. Maybe it's time to reach out to someone you've lost touch with. Or maybe you're the one sitting in the shadows wondering if your dream still matters, if you're too late, if anyone still believes in you. Hear this. You are not forgotten. Your story isn't over. And sometimes, help comes from the most unexpected place, because money comes and goes. Headlines fade, but kindness echoes. Success is sweet, but it means more when it's shared. So if this story moved you, don't let it end here. Share it with someone who needs hope. Comment, because your words might be the light someone else is searching for. And subscribe, because here, we don't just tell stories. We tell the ones that remind us we're not alone. Because at the end of the day, it's not what you gain that matters most. It's what you give, and what we do for others is the only legacy that truly lasts.